To discuss, we're joined by energy expert now, Yelland. Chris, thank you for being with us. How confident are you about our power woes being overcome after the Operation Vulindlela update?
Yeah, firstly to say that I think we should not feel helpless in the face of load shedding. There are things that can be done and there are solutions, but it really requires a whole lot of different stakeholders, including government stakeholders, to start pulling together as one, instead of operating in their different silos. So certainly, the kind of messaging that we're seeing coming from government, for example, if you contrast what's coming from the Presidential Climate Commission with what statements are coming from the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, it's quite clear that these two are simply miles apart and are not talking to each other. And we need to end this. We need to get all the stakeholders together, and that includes government, it includes customers of electricity, it includes Eskom and municipalities, all working together in a common plan to deal with this emergency.
So Godongwana said over the coming months we will redouble our efforts to resolve the energy crisis. I was going to ask, sort of how much energy has been put into resolving this crisis that is the biggest risk to the economy, our credit status and investment. So you're saying the coordination between departments, we even had a war room years ago, but that coordination at a government level is just not there.
Yeah, I'm talking about something really an action-orientated plan, a kind of Marshall Plan for South Africa, harnessing all the resources of the nation with a focused mindset to deliver something like 10,000 megawatts of wind and solar PV and 5,000 megawatts of battery energy storage in 2 years. This will bring an end to load shedding. There have been numerous studies that have conclusively proved that if we can do this, load shedding can be ended. And we can do it. We just have to coordinate our actions and treat this as a national emergency, work together in a common national Marshall Plan.
All right, let's look at what has been done. The bid window 6 of the renewable energy program has been opened, and the preferred bidders from the previous bid window have been announced. Government has lauded that as progress after there was something of a lull. How important are these bid windows? Any way to speed this up? Is it fair enough to have windows rather than an ongoing process of adding suppliers to the grid, or people who can feed into the grid, rather?
Francis, it's absolutely clear that these public procurements will not end load shedding in the next 3 years. The bid window 5, preferred bidders have been announced, hasn't achieved financial closure yet. No orders have been placed. The project haven't started, and they're going to take 3 years to deliver the goods. I'm talking about a plan that's going to end load shedding in 2 years. And that is certainly not what the public procurements are going to do. Not the risk mitigation IPP program, not bid window 5, not bid window 6, or any other bid windows.
So how do you make all this energy in 2 years?
Yeah, you harness the energy of the private sector working in cooperation with government and with Eskom. It is absolutely clear that if you break this problem down into its constituent parts, the domestic sector can deliver 1.5 gigawatts, that's 1,500 megawatts in 2 years. The commercial and industrial sector can deliver 2,500 megawatts. The mining sector can deliver 4,000 megawatts. The municipal sector can deliver 1,500 megawatts. Eskom can deliver 1,500 megawatts. If you add it all up, it comes to 15,000 megawatts of new generation capacity that can be delivered at almost no cost to the government, at no cost to the fiscus, but at the cost of the customer. The customer needs to become part of the solution, and the private sector energy needs to be harnessed to make this happen.
Yeah. Well, there was an announcement that private sector players, I think it's 100 gigawatts, the limit was increased. So you're saying that's not going far enough? We could do much more right now?
Look, the increase of the licensing threshold from 1 megawatt to 100 megawatt was a very important signal, a signal of intent by government that it intends to remove some of the regulatory red tape and burdens that is holding this sector back. But it doesn't go far enough. It's an important first step, but it's not sufficient. One needs to put in place an enabling framework for the wheeling of electricity from distributed generators to off-takers all around the country. One needs to have a wheeling tariff framework in place. One needs to reduce the burden of environmental authorizations because many of these plants can take place on land that already exists, where there are connections that already exist, and the land is ideal for this kind of renewable energy and battery storage installations. And Eskom has made its position clear. It's made land available for this purpose with grid connections. This is the kind of action we need, where Eskom works together with the private sector and unlocks the energy of the private sector and really unlocks the potential of customers to become part of the solution.
So even announcing 100 megawatts as a limit, it's not as easy as just throwing that power into the grid. There's still hoops to go through, and those aren't easy or quick enough. Is that what you're saying, basically?
Yeah, indeed. And so you've seen recently the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, in a very welcome step, no doubt pushed by the presidency, issued a draft amendment to the Electricity Regulation Act. And this goes a long way to addressing all the other issues that are in the Electricity Regulation Act that need to be amended in order to make this possible and to unlock the potential of this sector.
All right, and that was mentioned in relation to that briefing on Operation Vulindlela yesterday. Thank you for your take. As always, energy expert Chris Yelland.